Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal. In this incarnation, we've just passed the full moon in Capricorn, but let's remember that this is an energy that continues to manifest, especially because Saturn on July 13th is going to be a retrograde from the degree 1 with 56 minutes of Aries. So on September 1st, Saturn being retrograde returns to Pisces, where it is going to awaken in the degree 25th of Pisces in November. This is the last passage that Saturn is going to make in here. So the people that have planets in the last in the final part of Pisces or the first degree of Aries, they are going to feel this transit, and obviously you have to take in account the house where it is occurring. In many cases could be the same house, the one that embraces these mathematical degrees, but to have certainty, it is important to calculate the natal chart. And even if it is the same house, the processes are going to take a totally different color in one sign and in other, because they are totally different. So as I mentioned in the video of the full moon, Saturn, it is stationary this week. This is one of the moments in which we feel a lot the social planets and the transpersonal ones when they are about to be retrograde. Saturn, it is related to the function of contact with reality, with the things that we are experimenting in the plane of the matter. That's why it is said that rules, time, and karma is a consequence of previous decisions. The quality of positive or negative, it is going to depend on those decisions. On the other side, every negative experience in its perception is going to have a learning. We can extract something positive of that. And the experiences that are positive, well, perhaps they are showing us things that we are putting in practice, that are working for the things that we want to create. But also, I think it is important to understand that not everything that we perceive initially as positive is necessarily as we are perceiving it. Especially because we have to consider that Saturn is operating together with Neptune, that is already retrograde. And this all of this year, the whole 2025 and also 2026, therefore its functions are really mixed up. They are very linked right now. And this thing about that not everything that seems to be positive initially truly is, I am not emitting this from this, this place of being in an alert state and mistrusting of everything. It is not about that. Saturn is the limit, the boundary, the boundaries that we need to learn to establish with consciousness. And one of the polarizations of Saturn could be the lack of boundaries that derives in frustrating experiences, external frustrating experiences that are going to teach us to establishing them. But the other polarization is rigidity, to raise these walls in a symbolic way and creating structures that are going to make us feel the illusion of security, but they end up closing ourselves, closing our field to new experiences, and in the end to growth. So both extremes are an imbalance, and Neptune represents the potentials that can be manifested, that they are born from our imagination, because that is Neptune. If you want to see the video of Neptune, you can do so, because I'm not going to describe the whole function right now. But the Neptunian extremes respond to, on one side, the distortion of reality, so we can adjust that to a desire of the identity. For example, I am associating myself with a person for a project, and that person initially presents behaviors that show lack of commitment, but I decide to look to the other side and continue with that, and eventually that is going to present consequences. But also could be, expectations that are not among our possibilities, like a person desiring to be, a football player, but truly that person never practiced the sport, or it is not doing anything to be aligned with that. So it is a self-deceit. I am putting an extreme example so you can understand. And the other face of Neptune, it could be, not trusting in that intuition, in our own soul calls. And if we don't take action over them, especially here in Aries, we're going to lose the sense of the experience, and we are going to be disconnected from ourselves with all that involves in that. So the retrogradation of Saturn puts us in front of the experiences that we have been sustaining until this point. And if there is something that we haven't put a boundary, if we, avoided to take action into something, or we took action but not from a place of responsibility, this means taking into account the consequences of our decisions, or we are putting the focus in past or situations that the soul doesn't want to transit anymore, because they don't bring growth, well, this transit could show us that. And it is very important to integrate Saturn in its different phases, because universe is expansion and contraction. So if we only want to expand ourselves, we are denying the nature of everything, the nature of this oscillation in everything. If the heart didn't accomplish this principle, we weren't alive. We wouldn't be alive. So what happens is that many times we experiment this as something negative, because we don't know how to adapt to these cycles. It is like wanting to breathe only, but never exhale. I don't know if I'm inventing that word. Could be, because I do that a lot, but well, okay. The same happens with that, with our energy, to take ourselves to a vision or a desire of the soul. We have to put a boundary to certain aspects and to put more energy in other areas. And there would be a moment where the thing that we limited before, it is going to be the thing that is expanding. So the thing is that when we are not aware of this need of restricting the energy, there is an external scene, the one that is going to show us, and the one that is going to force ourselves to do that. And for example, if I am investing my energy in something that is not related to my soul anymore, then the project, it is going to fall. And one can see that as a failure, or we could perceive that as life indicating where is the path for us. Now, could also be that we are facing paths that are representing growth, but perhaps there is something important that we overlooked, or there is a way of approaching that path that needs to be more mature. And then Saturn could also reflect that, could present certain challenges, and this is truly vital. So we can see the fruits, so we can see our constructions materialized, because this also enables for us to be capable of assuming greater responsibilities, because it is wonderful wanting to see things growing, but then we have to sustain that, and we have to have this experimental wisdom to deal with different circumstances, because if not, we cannot create that, or we are going to lose it. It is like wanting to have your own school of mystical knowledge, but without knowing anything, without applying anything to your own path. And then there are these other people that are operating with Saturn in a much more exigent place. It is totally backwards. They are feeling that they never end up developing the enough capacities to do whatever thing they need to do, because there are fears. They are putting too much pressure to accomplish an expectation that actually is external, or is inside, but it comes from an external programming. So what we truly need is this will of learning. That includes the humbleness to recognize what we need to improve, but also the capacity to see what we have improved yet. Like the little achievements and the things that we are actually, creating, and that we are moving forward. Because if everything is excessive exigency, an equilibrated exigency, it is going to help. But if it is excessive, then the path turns out to be very, very heavy, and we cannot enjoy what we are doing, and we can even lose the initial intention for what we started to do things. So this conjunction between Saturn and Neptune As I said, it is the base for this year and the next one. And even if there are some experiences that are not feeling comfortable, it could present lessons that could create, anger and frustration, because this is in Aries, and Aries is this contact with our aggressiveness, or we don't see the whole path with clarity towards, because that is the Neptunian quality, to learn to trust in our inner calls. It is important to learn to take these situations as something that is actually pointing us the path that we need to do, to discover who we are at this present moment. And also, they are taking us to where the soul truly wants to go. That it is, the desire of oneself. But many times, for conditionings, we are rejecting that. And when we are able to close the door of an experience that was related to these programmings that, made us feel in a limited space, we are actually opening the way to our true dreams. So I wanted to leave this message today. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.